Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Mortgage Coach Tuesday interview. I am coming to you live out of Portland Airport on my way to Phoenix for a couple of days. I have with me as our special guest today, Ryan Grant. What's up, Ryan?
Hey, everyone. How are you? Hey, Dave. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, thanks for making time for this on such short notice. I had reached out to you. I was actually having, happy hour wine with a friend, Scott Davis, locally. And he is focusing on getting more and more business from employers.
Yeah.
And I was, talking to him about, I'm like, what a great strategy. I did that back in the day. And then I told him your story, how you were killing it with Facebook. And he's like, boy, I sure would like to ask that guy some questions. And I'm like, well, let's see if he could jump on this Tuesday and I'll move things around. So Thanks for doing that, brother.
You're welcome.
Good. So let's start off this interview with just how is your year going? Or not your year. How did you close out 2019? And what are your goals for 2020? Let's spotlight you as a mortgage coach leader and then get into the employee benefits conversation.
Sure. Yeah. 2019 was awesome. We helped 370 plus families for a little over 185 million in total volume for myself and my team. And then my region did, I think we did about over 1,400 families that we've helped, and then 670 some odd million in total.
Boom, you killed it. So congratulations. I mean, that puts you in a very elite small group of America's most successful mortgage professionals. And then you guys also adopted Mortgage Coach last year. You elevated and upgraded your customer experience a little bit.
Yes, all the guys in my region had been using it, and we had used a different software for some time that was educationally based, and it was something that we made the decision that we wanted to up-level our game. So we've been on for quite a while now, and we're really enjoying it.
Yeah, well, you're doing a great job, and I interviewed Sosi Avila a couple weeks ago, and if you guys did not check out that interview, I'll put a link down below. Sosi is just a tremendous example of a modern-day loan officer, just the next generation of leaders. Just real quick before we get into the topic at hand, what was it about Mortgage Coach? Like, why did you decide to, use Mortgage Coach and make it a priority?
The technology is so amazing, from the video capabilities to, the speed in which you can put together the presentation. We kind of labored through some of our previous ones that we were using, and it didn't have the shareability, the marketability, and it didn't really have that extra pop that we needed. And so since we've up-leveled, we've seen some pretty significant difference in the ability to use it on all platforms, the ability to have it be managed on phone, iPad, computer. It was really helpful for us in today's modern world.
Well, you make a good point, because we designed Mortgage Coach to be a platform. Let's face it, we live in a platform society. We communicate on a platform called Facebook. We get rides to places on a platform called, Lyft or Uber. We entertain ourselves on platforms like Netflix. And Zillow is a platform. So Mortgage Coach is a platform so that when you deliver rates and fees, you can put modern media around it and just deliver a better experience. So quick questions, because I'm going to be spotlighting you in an upcoming week as a member of the week. What is your favorite book you've read in the past 12 months? Any, pop quiz?
Yeah,
what do you got?
Got to be Challenger Sale.
Yes,
Yeah.
My Challenger Sale brother.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite books of the decade, and I talk about it a lot. If you listen to the interview Ryan and I did on how to be a black belt in mortgage advice, we talked about that book together. So check it out. And then what about if there's a quote that you either say to yourself or you say out loud to other people? Is there a favorite quote you have from a world leader, or maybe it's your own quote, but is there any favorite quotes you have?
There's a million of them. I think, one of my favorites, and then the reason why we created the Art of Homeownership was around the Challenger Sale, was if you're responding to customers' needs rather than defining them, it's a recipe for commoditization. And I think that's what we've been doing in the mortgage industry and the real estate industry, is just responding to the customer's needs. And we haven't been proactively committing to defining their needs and helping them set goals and helping them plan for the future. And so, being able to now do that and commit to it at a high level has really completely changed our business. And all the business for all the partners on our platform. And it's just been it's a really fun time for us now because we're having wildly different conversations than we were years ago.
Well, dude, I absolutely love that quote. And here's the deal, guys. There's, Zillow's in the mortgage business, Redfin's in the mortgage business, Keller Williams in the mortgage business. Zillow is going to be in the mortgage business. And they've defined the mortgage business as, here's a rate, here's a fee, here's your cash to close. And I can give you the lowest rate in cash to close, and I can do it really fast. If you do not broaden what it is to be a mortgage professional, and part of that is building wealth with real estate and making better decisions, you will be commoditized. The next decade, this 2020 decade, will not be better than the 2019 decade for you. So I love that quote, brother.
Yeah, we just actually, just to kind of piggyback off of that, we just had Fairway had a big event where we did a financial freedom seminar. So myself and Josh Metal and Nicole Ruth and Carrie Guerrero, we kind of put on an event along with Sarah Middleton where we helped a lot of Fairway's 30 to 40 Fairway people that signed up for the event, and we helped them understand what it takes to get to financial freedom. And there was a varying level of finance in that room or financial knowledge. I think more than anything, what it taught me was that we need to bring this back and we need to really dive into our consumers with this message, right? We really need to help them understand finance, just more than mortgage related finance, but every aspect of real estate, finance, protection, generational wealth. And so again, that's defining someone's need. That's teaching them something they didn't know that they needed or they weren't aware of. And that's what I think Mortgage Ghost helps us do, is that it helps us show people things they weren't aware that they should have known.
I love that. And does it in a way that they'll always remember. And that did remind me, one of the best all-time interviews that I've ever done was with Josh. I think it's called The Millionaire Loan Officer. And it not only talked about his story as a mortgage professional, but it talked about his story as a real estate investor. And I put it in the new loan officer playlist. I think it's the number 3 video. Simon Sinek's number 1, build your mortgage why. And Josh Metal is like 3 or 4. It was a message that I wish I would have heard early in my career. So if you're a new loan officer on this, listen to that interview. I'll put a link down below.
Sure.
So Todd Duncan, literally we were getting ready to go live and Todd texted me. He told me to say hi, one of our mutual mentors. And he wanted me to ask you, what are your top 3 goals for 2020? I mean, I want to know, like a guy playing at your level, Todd wants to know, a guy playing at your level, what are the 3 big strategies or goals you have for 2020?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, we're focused on 3 things right now. One is the growth of my team and then my production there. And one of the big strategies within that is the corporate affinity partnership avenue, right? We think there's 7 different pillars of where your business should draw from. And this is something that, Todd and the Elite and High Trust group has taught us, is that, there's 7 areas in which you kind of want to develop your business strategy. And corporate affinity has always been one that I've always had a fascination around. I've never been fortunate enough to really make it come to fruition because, quite frankly, I didn't have much to offer. So that's one big one. 2 is going to be, the continual growth of our region. I think that what we do is really unique in the mortgage space, and I want to be able to offer that to more and more, mortgage professionals around the country and help them understand that there's a better way to do the business. And then lastly is just, continuing to kind of on my mission to drive a wedge down the middle of our industry to make people either choose the cheapest mortgage option or the most valuable mortgage option. And so that's a big goal of mine over the next 5 years, is to really make sure the consumer knows what they're getting either way.
I love that. And I especially love it because we both know that an 8th-in rate is nothing compared to managing a mortgage. When you are the loan officer that helps a family pick the right mortgage structure and you educate them on prepay the difference or invest the difference, and then you coach them and you manage them, every month to make sure they're optimizing their real estate to build wealth. That is so much more valuable than an 8th lower in rate or a quarter lower in rate. It's the difference between debt freedom and, being connected to that debt for the rest of your life. So So this is a perfect segue. Let's dedicate the rest of the interview to your employee benefits program.
Yeah.
So I want a quick why you decided to make 2020 the year to do it, and then let's tell the story around Facebook. You won a big deal, and by the way, maybe that was the why. You got the Facebook opportunity, and that drove the why.
That was
what's the why?
The why?
And then how did you do it?
Yeah. So again, we've always had the desire to be, the preferred lender for a company and all their employees and have access to their employees. But to be honest, if you really think about, Dave, you own a company, right? So if I were to come to you and say, Dave, I worked with your employee, or I was referred to you by whomever, and I'd love to chat with you about becoming the preferred lender for for all of your employees, and I can help you. We can do lunch and learns, X, Y, Z. As a business owner yourself, I don't know how greatly that benefits you, right? Because you don't really know, do we have the best interest rates or the lowest interest rates? Do we really have the best service? Are we always going to do right by all of your employees? Like, there's actually more risk than reward in you bringing us on as a preferred lender, because we could do great for 10 clients, but then the 11th client, if we make a mistake, or if they say, hey, they actually gave me a higher rate than I could have found online, then you as an employer have to deal with that headache, right? And you didn't really add a lift. All you did was expose yourself to risk. And so that's why I believe most employers actually shouldn't take on a preferred real estate agent or a preferred lender without actual tangible value. Right? And so, when we became Art of Homeownership, certified professionals, we were able to then deliver that value proposition. And so the way that we kind of came about it is, another thing that, Todd Duncan taught to me is that in terms of, when we talk to clients, looking at maximizing the capability of how we can impact that client and the lives of the people around them. And so, I used to ask every single client, or I still do, but I'd ask every client, hey, who do you work on? We know who they work for from the application. So I'd say, is there an opportunity for me to speak with your HR, or so on and so forth, about becoming a preferred lender? Nobody would ever really give me the time of day. They'd be like, oh, I'll check and see if I can find. But again, they had a good experience. Maybe they even have a phenomenal experience, but they didn't really believe why they should put their neck out on the line or talk to their boss or their manager or somebody and really go to bat to get us in there. And so, and quite frankly, the couple times that I did have the opportunity to speak with an HR professional or the owner of a company, I didn't have a whole heck of a lot to say. It was just, we're great. We have really great customer service. Look at our reviews. But that just wasn't enough, right? And so with our platform now, we had a client, we closed her transaction. We helped her. She was a Facebook employee buying a second home down here in Huntington Beach. And we got to the end, and I do a post-closing call with every client. I think I actually sent out that post-closing call link to everybody on one of our previous webinars. And one of the questions on the post-closing call is, so I see you work with Facebook. Obviously, we'd love the opportunity to help some of your coworkers and your other employees there. Is there anybody that we could talk to about that? Right? This was just a full-on Doug Flutie Hail Mary, right? Like 40,000 people at Facebook. The likelihood of her knowing the right person was slim. But what it came down to is she said, Ryan, we've had a lot of mortgages, right? We've been through a lot of homes, but nobody has ever not only performed the way you guys have, but no one's ever committed to us the way you have from now moving forward. She said, I've never heard of anyone that's going to do all the things you're going to do for me now and 30 years into the future. And that's really meaningful. That's impactful. I think more people should know about that. So I'd love to put you in touch with the right person. I actually know who you should talk to at Facebook. So that was a big win, right? For the consumer to see that and to think, okay, yeah, like more people should know about this. And that's kind of the movement that we're seeing. Right now it's client by client, it's person by person. We believe that will pick up over time, but ultimately I was able to talk to this person who put me in touch with that person, and ultimately got in touch with the head of their perks team, which is the person who basically runs their employee benefits, opportunities. And we set up a webinar, a Blue Jeans webinar. It's kind of like Zoom, but it's what they use. And I was pretty nervous going into it, I'm not gonna lie. I knew what we had to offer, and I knew that they needed it, but I had 30 minutes basically to impress somebody for a pretty substantial opportunity. And so we jump on the webinar, and the first thing he says is, yeah, so I heard you helped one of our employees with their mortgage. We have, I think it was First Republic Bank or something like that. We have First Republic Bank that helps our clients with their banking and mortgage stuff. Why you guys, what makes you different? And normally, if I didn't have this now, like if I look back a year ago or 2 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to answer that question all that well. I would have talked about service and speed, and I wouldn't have been able to talk about rate because it's a bank who's probably going to offer preferred products and platform for that type of clientele. So you can't really say you're going to be the cheapest interest rate. But now I was just really confident because I was able to say, look, this guy's name was John. I said, John, your clients, your employees don't really want mortgages, right? What they want are homes, right? And one thing I know about your employees is that a lot of them have student loan debt. A lot of them are fighting housing affordability in the Bay Area. A lot of them are having to deal with commutes. They're trying to figure out, budgetary items, saving money to put down in down payments. And so, what we offer to all of your employees is much more than just a mortgage when they want one. We offer 6 distinct different values to every one of your employees that they can sign up for. So we offer them a relocation technology, right? It's a platform where even if they're moving from rental to rental, and a lot of times that happens, right? A lot of times their employees will, have a relocation and they won't end up buying something, so they'll move into a new rental. So there's a relocation technology they can use that they can handle everything they need to move from one property to the next, right? So whether they're buying a new home or renting another property, they can use it at a high level. We help them with a home concierge service, whether they own a home or don't own a home. If they don't own a home, it'll help them get their security deposit back, painting, carpet cleaning, housekeeping, whatever they need. And then transitioning into the new home, they can be able to use it for requests for repairs on the new property. And if they do own a home, it can help them proactively maintain their home at a high level and grow that home's wealth. And kind of went into, the fact that people don't really know how to maintain their home at a high level because we don't teach that in our society anywhere. So all of their employees would benefit from having this. I talked to them about the monthly real estate wealth digest that they get, which is, their opportunity to, see their real estate wealth real time and understand it and know how to utilize it. And if they don't own a home, how they can look at different markets in their area and kind of get grades on where they should look. Kind of went through all the 6 steps, and I said, look, this doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost the employees anything. And he said the same thing to me that all the employees said when we were up there was, what's the catch? Like, how are you offering all these things without us paying anything? And I said, well, to be honest, most mortgage companies spend all of their money trying to find new clients because they don't do a good enough job with their current clients or help them in any significant way. So they always have to spend new money. For example, Quicken's going to spend $400 million this year on Super Bowl commercials and advertisements, and you'll see them everywhere. Right? It's because they realize that they need to constantly find new clients because their past clients were probably not all that impressed with the service and they're getting no consistent value. I said, we're under the guise that if we just invest that same amount of money or a similar amount of money into the livelihood of our clients, and we actually commit to making their life better proactively, whether they own a home or whether they don't, that we're going to earn that client's business and we'll have the continual business and we'll get referral and repeat business. And that's how we've become #1 in our market. That's how we've become #2 in the country. And at the end, he was just blown away. He just goes, wow, this is amazing. Our employees really need this. I'd love it. So, they invited us up to the campus. So I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, we went up to the Facebook campus and we set up a big shop, and all their employees, it's basically right in their main walkway. And we signed up 187 of their employees in 4 hours, right, to become Art of Homeownership members. And now we have pre-approvals in the pipeline. We're helping people with refinances. And these were people that had no preconceived notion about wanting to buy a home, sell a home, or refinance a home. They just simply walked up to us, looked at our banners, and was like, what's that? And we started telling them who we are and what we do. And the feedback we got from it was just so overwhelmingly positive, because I had never, I talked about it to mortgage professionals and real estate professionals, but I'd never been on the street talking to a consumer about it. Like we do it at open houses. All that stuff's easy because they're in the real estate mindset. These are people that were not in the real estate mindset, but yet they signed up for a platform because they knew that platform would benefit them and their family for years to come. So That in turn gave me the confidence to really dive into it at a higher level.
Well, guys, you just got an incredible story. You got clear strategies. You even got a couple scripts within that conversation. You know, if you have more questions for Ryan, you know, this is going to be a freestyle conversation for the next, I don't know, 40 minutes. So if you have questions, put those in comments, whether you're in Zoom or whether you're in Facebook. This is a Facebook Live in the Mortgage Coach Productivity Mastermind group. Put your questions in there. So I hope it's really clear to everyone. Notice Ryan has platforms, you know, and then he's taken multiple platforms and turned it into a proprietary service. And so, you know, which he calls the art of homeownership. I did a whole interview with him on the art of homeownership, where we spent the whole hour just drilling down on describing that. So I don't want to spend time on that because there's a video. I'll put a link down below called The Art of Homeownership with Ryan Grant. But I can tell you, you need to, if you want to even play in this game, you need to embrace platforms. Mortgage Coach, you know, an advice platform to help you deliver tangible advice. We're rolling out next couple of weeks an integration with HomeBot, and I know that Ryan has, you know, different relationships with different people that are proprietary and awesome, but you need to embrace platforms like HomeBot, like House Happy, to do this. So Ryan, why don't you do this? Because I want to make sure, I don't want to try to replay Art of Homeownership, but I want, one, I'm a believer in you, and I'm a believer in this proprietary platform that you created with these unique partnerships. Just give people the 5-minute description and tell them how they can learn more about it. And then let's do more Q&A. But I want to make sure that that doesn't get missed, because you can't even play in the game that Ryan's playing if you don't have a platform like Mortgage Coach, and if you don't have other platforms that deliver clear and obvious value to a homeowner. That's not just transactional in nature. It's got to be, I'm delivering service and value that helps them build wealth with real estate over the course of a lifetime. So just give us 5 minutes on it, and then tell us how to learn more about it. Sure. And then we'll keep going down this employee benefits path.
Yeah, so essentially the platform is 6 different services. You know, it's a relocation technology where the client can do everything they need to do right in one screen. It's a home concierge service where someone will actually can go to their home and do a 300-point analysis of the property, keep all the data online. And basically our commitment to the consumer there is that we're going to help them keep their home maintained at a high level, proactively keep their home upgraded or upkept, and ultimately increase that home's value over time, which I think is wildly important. Next is going to be their ability to look at their real estate wealth on a monthly basis in the most accurate format they possibly can. And not only do we think it's important that people know what their real estate net worth is, but what they can and should do with that potential net worth. We help them with annual financial reviews. So we really look at each aspect of someone's holistic financial picture, right? So not just real estate, not just mortgage, but we ask every question imaginable. And then we filter through that and figure, okay, how we can help them with CPAs, financial planners, estate planning attorneys. And we use Mortgage Coach when we're showing them our annual reviews and when we're analyzing their mortgage. Same thing with our perfect mortgage promise. So it's another one of our commitments to the client, is that they'll never have to worry about being in the right mortgage or being in the right place or the right home. Most people have no clue what their actual strategy is. They just own a home, live in it, and pay for it. And I think that's irresponsible of us to just let that happen. And then lastly is our commitment to help them maximize their wealth through real estate with generational wealth planning, family planning, looking at real estate and retirement. So all of the partners on the Art of Homeownership are trained in all these areas. There are scripts and documentation. There's a whole platform, an e-learning platform where they get this information. But really at the basis or at the core of our commitment is that we don't think that just giving someone a mortgage with great customer service and great advice and then hoping they know what to do afterwards is appropriate, right? Because it's very clear that even real estate agents and mortgage professionals ourselves, we don't typically have that strategy really locked down and in place. So it's highly likely that our clients don't. So the fact that we can commit to people and offer this platform to them without them even being a client means that we can lead generate at a higher level. We can create more connection and more actual penetration in our database. And then the coolest thing is we can offer this to our real estate partners, right? So Now we're sourcing real estate partners kind of throughout the Bay Area that we can partner with because of our new Facebook partnership. And then we can offer this platform to them so they have the same value proposition. So a lot of our real estate agent partners down here in Orange County have become Art of Homeownership certified professionals as well. It allows them to differentiate themselves and allows them to stand out in a way that they wouldn't have otherwise. So it's a really, you can learn more about it. I don't want to go too much into it, but you can learn more about it. Just go to register at artofhomeownership.com, or just go to artofhomeownership.com. You can read about it there, but you can always email register at artofhomeownership.com, and we'll send you the information to take a look at it. And we'll just see if it's a good fit for your business. It is a limited release, and so we're only allowing 2 mortgage professionals for every 100,000 people in their market to be on it. So it is filling up and selling out in some markets right now. And then each loan officer can invite up to 10 mortgage or real estate professionals as well.
Cool. So check it out, guys. Ryan does a great job of delivering education. Every time you're on the phone with this guy, and I've been through the call to demo or the business overview, and it's valuable. Whether you become a member of his community or not, it's a valuable experience. And I can tell you right now, you need to leverage platforms. You need Mortgage Coach. I'm a big fan of House Happy. I'm a big fan of HomeBot. And those are just a few of the platforms within Ryan's piece. But here's the deal, guys. You can buy technology and platforms, but how you leverage it, how you market it, how you train your team is the difference between success and failure. So if you have not checked out Art of Homeownership from Ryan Grant, check it out. If you really want to implement and execute on building a platform. I'm a big fan. Okay, so let's continue the interview. So I want to break down the sales process. Sounds like you did it. You wowed a family, not only with a great transaction with a 5-star review, but with the value, the ongoing value you were providing. Monthly real estate digest, annual review powered by Mortgage Coach. How to optimize the value of the home that you live in, and build wealth at the highest level. And then after delivering that service, you asked for the referral very intentionally and thoughtfully. They helped you get to the right person. Sounds like you had a couple phone calls.
Yep.
You did a 30-minute that might have turned into 40-minute Zoom/Blue Jeans call.
Yep.
And then you went on site and you delivered value and you further grew it. Since this is kind of new, it's not like you've got this playbook and you've got 10, companies under your belt. Is this pretty much your sales process though? I mean, is this how you're going to roll in 2020?
Well, it's one of them. I mean, there's, again, we focused on all 7 channels, right? So this is one of those 7 channels. And so the benefit to us is that we now have, a really strong social proof of why the employer should utilize this platform, right? And so not just for our team, but for any Art of Homeownership partner across the country, right? So any real estate agent, any mortgage professional, anybody who is signed up as a partner, they can go say, hey, look, we think that you and your employees should have access to this. And we have an entire presentation that we do for corporations now that's built around empirical evidence that states that when consumers are, less stressed about finances and more confident in their financial livelihood, workplace efficiency goes up by over 12%, right? So the employer will actually get a lift in production by having, employees that are, better stewards of finance, right? Because it lowers stress, which stress creates medical problems and health issues. And almost every company's big push right now is to have a better health and wellness within their employees. And a big part of that is reducing stress. So we can commit to them that we will proactively help with that and create that 12% lift. We can also show them with very clear distinction that their employee turnover will go down and their retention goes up drastically when people own homes next to where they work, right? So when we have the opportunity to help their employees become homeowners and basically create roots in their community, the opportunity for that person to then want to leave that company goes down. And we have a really kind of powerful clip that we play from, I'm forgetting his name right now, but I heard him speak before. Anyways, author, business leader, business coach, that basically says, look, the power of helping your employees and taking a proactive stance and helping their employees through more than just their paycheck is a really powerful thing. And so, you know, you get about a 95% return on investment when you just pour into your employees, as opposed to just ensuring that they're paid appropriately. And so we have an entire presentation we do for all of our new companies and employees that we are working with. That's on the Art of Homeownership e-learning platform, so all the partners can use that. And you know, we can show them why it's important, not just for them as an employer, but why it's important for all their employees. And we can say, look, one thing that is probably good for you to know is that in the world of technology, you got the Salesforces, the Facebooks, the Googles, they're all fighting to find the same talented people. And there's this employee benefits war where everyone's trying to one up all these other companies by offering, you know, greater and better employee benefits. So the fact that, you know, Facebook thought that this would be a great employee benefit to be able to offer to their employees probably speaks to the fact that, you know, you as a XYZ manufacturing would be well suited to offer that same employee benefit.
So cool. So remember, guys, if you have questions, post those down below. So Ryan, knowing that you're going to take this to other companies, is there a certain kind of company that you're going to target? You know, small businesses, medium-sized, more Facebook-sized companies. You know, what does your employee company target list look like for 2020?
Yeah, that's a question that we get often. People are like, what's the target demographic for a company that you're looking for? And in reality, it's more about the size of the access than the size of the company, right? So if Facebook would have said, yeah, that's great, you know, we'll put you on this, you know, random website that nobody really goes to, and we don't have access to their employees. Like, you know, they send out an email to all of their employees, letting them know we're going to be on campus that day, letting them know, you know, to stop by our pop-up shop and talk to us about it. And so they actually, you know, helped us to get access, right, and be there and be face to face with people. So, I mean, I would say, you know, it could be a company as small as 50 people, right? But if you have access to 30 or 40 of them, right, and you can go get in front of them and talk to them about how you're going to impact their life in a positive way, then that's great, right? It's better than a 10,000 person company where you have no access and nobody ever knows about you and no one sees you. And so I think it's just more about when you're talking to the company or the corporation or the organization. It doesn't even need to be, I mean, it could be a nonprofit, it could be a charitable organization. What access do you have to get in front of them and tell them you can offer them all of this phenomenal stuff without charging them anything, and that there's no sales pitch? I think that's a real clear thing that you need to make, is that, like, we're not selling anything here. We're not selling mortgages. We're not trying to talk you into refinancing or buying a home. We just believe that if you have all the education and information necessary, that you can make really confident and smart decisions. And so that was the most commonly asked question we got up there was, this doesn't make sense. What's the catch? How do you make money? It's like, well, you know, we're a mortgage company, and in our strategy is if we provide you with an unimaginable amount of value and to help you in multiple ways throughout your life, that when it makes sense for you to buy, sell, or finance a home, we'll have the opportunity to help you at that time. And more than likely, we'll help you understand or educate you as to when it is the right time to buy, sell, or finance a home. So you don't have to, you know, try and figure that out on your own. And that's what most of these people were drawn to, is it, you know, they make great money, right? But they have student loans, they have other bills, and nobody ever took the time to give them advice or guidance or sit down with them. And most people just kind of dismiss them, and so they dismiss it themselves. So, but back to your question, yeah, it's really more about access than size of company.
Got it. And here's what I am just continuing here. If you're a loan officer that's delivering a fee worksheet, that's the service you're delivering at the point of sale. And if you don't have tangible service and value that you're delivering to your clients post-transaction, it's going to be really hard. I mean, you're basically saying, hey, I have great rates, I'll give good service, I'll do lunch and learns. But that, to your point, it does create risk. It does have subjective value.
Right.
But hey, a total cost analysis at the point of sale to say, hey, I'm going to help your clients make great decisions at the point of sale. And then let me show you how, and let me tell you a story. And then I'm going to do this annual review, and let me show you what that looks like. And I've got this monthly real estate digest, and I have, again, it's tangible value, and you can say it, and then you can show it. And you can even, the people within the sales process can experience it. Like, you know, they're homeowners that want to build wealth with real estate. And so everybody that you meet with within that company, you know, have a mortgage platform, and everybody that touches you comes into that mortgage under management platform. And guys, it is time for the mortgage professional to be the captain of the wealth team. And I think we have, and I've said this before in other calls, we've got more information on the families we serve. We've, you know, with tools like Mortgage Coach, with all the tech that we have in our space, we have so much value to give consumers that literally we can be the ones that are the conduit from a company, from a CPA, from a financial planner, from an insurance professional, and yes, realtors. But imagine if you take this captain of the wealth team approach and you add companies as a pillar, think of how much more valuable you become to your real estate agents. It's crazy. So guys, if you have questions, I'm gonna, you know, take a break here. I've got another question for Ryan. And then if the community drives the Q&A, we will let the community drive the Q&A. So Ryan, what do you think is the biggest reason that loan officers will have trouble with this? Because, you know, you even said it yourself. For years, you tried it and it didn't work. And heck, you're like $180 million top producer, so you're a badass. You know, why do you think most loan officers will fail? And what advice do you have for them if they want to succeed at this strategy going forward?
I mean, the whole strategy around it is not about me. It's not about us. It's not about our mortgage company. It's not about how great we are. It's not about how good of service we have. It's all about the employee, right? I mean, we are going to commit to helping the employee have a better financial and real estate related life, right? And so if you don't have a strategy going into talking to a company about how you will commit to that, and then more importantly, how you can actually accomplish it at scale, it's going to be hard, right? Because there's just no reason that you become the preferred lender or preferred realtor or anything for a company without giving first, right? Like, you know, the book, The Go Giver, explains it perfectly, right? Give everything away and watch it all come back. And so that's really what we do. And it's our ability to adopt a consumer well in advance of them ever wanting or thinking about buying, selling, or financing a home, having us provide them with an incredible amount of value, and then educating them over time as to how they can kind of maneuver and how they can plan to own a home, multiple homes, you know, create generational wealth. And so again, I used to try, right? I used to go in and talk to, you know, employees and HR people and just say, look at my Yelp reviews and this is how great we are. And we're number one. And it was all about me. And it was just the worst strategy ever, because they're like, okay, well, what's in it for me? Like, what's in it for our employees other than getting a mortgage, which they can do anywhere? And you seem great, but, you know, if someone has a bad experience or you don't have the absolute lowest rates, then I'm going to hear about it. And I'd rather not put myself in that situation as an employer. So you have to have a strategy that you can offer a lot of value up front and not necessarily expect immediate returns, although immediate returns will happen.
Got it. So let's do this. A couple people had asked for some of your slides. I'm not going to put you on the spot right now, but I would love after the call if we could maybe get some slides that we could put in the group. I know some of that is part of your proprietary platform. So guys, I'm not going to get commitment from him on that right now, but we will talk afterwards if there's some content that he can release into the Mortgage Coach Facebook group.
Yeah.
Let's do this right now. Let's pull up a TCA, because one thing I know for sure is that when you're having the conversation and you're talking about your tangible advice and value, a total cost analysis, it's part of that. It's a dynamic slide that moves and delivers personal service. So why don't you walk through one of those?
Sure.
And then we'll see what other questions we have.
Yeah. Everybody see my screen here?
And yep, we see the total cost analysis.
All right. So this is an example of, you know, somebody putting 5% down versus, you know, waiting and, you know, buying something in 4 years, right? So this is probably one of the major, you know, especially for Facebook employees, one of the major comments that we heard was, you know, we had signs on each side of the campus that kind of pointed to us and said, you know, we're going, you know, are you wasting money on rent? Come chat with us. You know, are you paying too much in rent? So people were coming in droves, like, you know, I saw that we were, you know, I read your sign, and yes, we were paying a lot in rent. And so we'd ask everybody, you know, what's your thought around buying a home and home ownership in general? And a lot of them were just defeated, right? They're like, yeah, maybe sometime in the future, but not anytime soon. I can't afford anything. And so they just had that defeatist mentality. And then I would ask, my next question would be, okay, so it sounds like you're confidently not buying a home, but do you have a plan and a strategy and a timeline? And to the person, it was all no. Like, oh no, I just, you know, I need to save more money. That was it. Just need to save more money. And, you know, so we have to show them the cost of waiting in relation to saving more money. So, you know, we show 5% down versus buying in 4 years, interest rate differential, you know, how much cash they would need to close, how much they would need to save, you know, monthly savings differential, all this stuff that we were able to do. And this is an older example of one, but this is something that we would show every Facebook employee that was planning on waiting. Another one was there was actually quite a few people there that, you know, were doing well, and they lived in a home, they bought in 2010, 11, 12, they had great equity, and they wanted to figure out if they were able to maybe move up to a different home. So this would be an example of something that we would show them, you know, their current home versus moving up to 400, 425, 450, maybe their current home is worth 350. So the ability for someone to visualize that is really powerful because they don't, right? I mean, I've asked, I have the good fortune of being able to speak to larger groups of people. And one of my favorite questions to ask the crowd is, who's 100% confident that they're doing the right things in real estate or finance? And nobody ever raises their hand. And it's because nobody seeks education, right? Nobody seeks information to be able to improve their life. They just kind of go through it and make decisions as they go. So our ability to put this information in front of them and just say, look, I don't care if you buy or sell or finance a home at all, right? But I want to make sure you have this information so you can at least confidently do something, right? Like confidently do nothing or confidently buy something. Either one is fine with me. At that point, I've done my job, right? So being able to show them the move up analysis is really helpful as well. So any one of these would be something that we can use to show somebody. And again, there's based upon the client, you know, the great thing about Mortgage Coach is there's so many different options that you can create. You know, there's not a client that has a need or a certain situation that you can't build a strategy specifically for, which is why we like it so much.
So for the folks that asked for those slides, I mean, this is the ultimate slide because it's a story, it's a strategy, it's dynamic, and they can experience it. You know, it's the difference between price versus advice. It's the difference between, you know, saying, hey, all your employees are getting these C worksheets, you know, and that's rate, payment, cash to close. They're not looking at the cost over time. Your employees are not getting that transparency unless you're working with us. They're not learning that, hey, you can prepay your mortgage and save a lot of interest and retire faster, or invest that in your 401k and be better off. They're not getting this advice. And so, you know, I haven't seen all of Ryan's slides, so I'm not going to say it's the best, but it probably is the best because it's an experience. It's got his brand on it. It's got his company branding. It's got a personalized service experience. If you can scroll to the bottom, it's got, you know, his reviews. So not only does it have his most recent, you know, 5-star review, it's got a link to all of his reviews. So for any of you that are, you want to take action on this, you need to make sure that you've got a lot of stories and strategies that are relevant to that brand. Like he knew Facebook, he was in the Bay Area, a lot of people paying a lot of money for rent. He came in with some stories and strategies that were very on point for those employees based off of what he knew about them. And then that was part of his call to action. Hey, let me analyze it for you. Let me help you make an informed, intelligent decision. Ryan, anything else you want to share about this or talk or any other TCAs you want to show?
No, because I mean, we could go on and on about all the TCAs that we would create, but everyone's situation is going to be wildly different, right? We always say a mortgage is like a fingerprint, right? It's unique to every individual, right? It's based upon credit and, you know, based upon your amount of down payment or your liquidity or your monthly income. So there's no two situations are ever going to be alike, and our ability to customize the solution, you know, based around that person's specific need is what's so beneficial around this platform. And you know, Art of Homeownership wouldn't really work without the ability to present the client, options on an annual basis, on a consistent basis, on the initial financial review. And if we ask all the right questions, which we are taught to do, not just mortgage application questions, but high financial IQ questions and high real estate wealth creation questions, and then we don't have a medium in which to then present to them options that we believe would be viable, it just seems irresponsible. Like, just don't ask the question if you can't deliver them something that would solve the problem, right? So it's absolutely necessary.
All right, so stop sharing your screen. I do want to call attention to our Instagram, Mortgage Coach on Instagram, because we have a lot of photos of Mortgage Coach in the real world. Some of those are at open houses. Some of those are at job fairs, at employee events. And so one recommendation for every mortgage coach out there is not only do you, like if you're doing an event and you have a computer, have a TCA as part of that. And then your goal is to get people to opt in. So we recommend a lot, have an iPad so where they can literally sign up into your mortgage under management program, into your art of homeownership program, have that. So if you want to see some photos of how other mortgage professionals have done that, mostly at open houses, like most of those pictures are open houses, but I have seen a number of photos at events. I think there's one with Churchill Mortgage where they were in the back of the room at a Dave Ramsey event. And I know at least a couple of them were employee events where they had Mortgage Coach on display at that. So you brought up questions a lot. And when I teach how to become a black belt in mortgage advice, which I did an interview with Ryan on how to be a black belt in mortgage advice, because one, he's a black belt in mortgage advice, and two, he's a real world black belt. So don't lip off if you see him out at events. He's dangerous. But give us some of the black belt questions. Like I always say, the white belt question that every loan officer asks is, how long do you plan to live in this home? And then based on that, it's like, oh, points versus no points, 5-year ARM versus 30-year. What are some of your black belt questions that you ask that help you get into a more strategic conversation with a borrower?
Yeah, so one simple one is, at what age do you plan on retiring and how much income do you think you're going to need at that point? Because if somebody really wants our advice and our guidance about buying real estate and what it's going to mean for them long term, we need to know where they want to go, right? It's like having a map and not knowing where you are, right? We can't help you get to where you want to go if we don't know where you're starting. And so, that's a question that separates us pretty quickly out of the gate. We talk a lot about protection, right? Because a lot of times people will look, okay, I'm going to buy a house and everything's going to be great, and this is going to be my monthly payment, right? But then they don't have a disability insurance policy, or they don't have life insurance, or they don't have proper liquidity after closing. And if somebody works really hard, right, saves money, puts a down payment on a home, and then they are paying a good portion of their gross income on that house every month, and then something happens to them, right? They can't make the housing payment anymore. Maybe they unfortunately pass away, and then that massive debt goes to their wife and children. So being in a protection first mode is really important. Now, obviously we don't sell insurance, but we talk to the consumer about the importance of it, and then we'll put them in touch with somebody who can help give them some numbers or analyze those things, because we want to take that into consideration with their monthly payment, because quite frankly, I think it's inappropriate to own a home without being appropriately insured, right? An umbrella policy for higher net worth individuals. We talk about generational wealth planning, which is a question that most people never ask. And if they are, they don't even know what it means, right? So we say, hey, have you talked to do you know what your generational wealth plan is? And every single client, same thing, says, what's that? Well, have you talked to your parents about their ability to retire, their real estate in retirement? Do you have a plan for your children, helping them buy real estate, go to college? Because a big part of your decision to buy this home could be impacted by one of those two up the generation or down the generation opportunities. So those are just some of the questions that we ask, that we teach all of our Art of Homeownership partners in the client intake form. And if you're looking to separate yourself from the competition, it's not necessarily about what you say, it's about the questions you ask, because the consumer will understand really quickly if this person genuinely cares about their long-term financial success, or if they're just talking to someone who's trying to sell them debt. And the two are very clearly different. One of my favorite questions to ask, especially if someone's been pre-approved already, and they come to me like, oh yeah, we've already been pre-approved. And I love being, okay, well, if you don't mind, let me take a stab at how that went. Right? So you called, you told them what you wanted to do. They said, great, we can help. They asked you some basic application questions, or probably better yet, sent you an application link. You filled that out, you sent them your documents, and they said what you're pre-approved for and gave you a letter. Sound about right? And they go, yeah, it's pretty much exactly how it happened. And I say, look, first of all, I apologize that you went through that. And I apologize that you worked with a mortgage professional who didn't necessarily do the right thing by you. Right? Let me tell you how we're going to be different. And then I jump into who we are and what we do. And when you nail someone's pre-approval experience, then apologize for it. It's a real key indicator for them, or a red flag that, oh, maybe there's more to this than just filling out an application and getting a pre-approval letter.
Boom. Awesome script. You know, I love that. Not even going to repeat a word of it. I'm just going to say, guys, take notes and work on that. He stole a page from Donald Miller, and he turned, you know, them into the villain. He's the guide. Let me guide you. And every other loan officer looks like the villain based on the way he did that. So that was, you know, pretty ingenious. I'm going to put a link down below. I've done some LinkedIn articles with some of what I consider to be black belt questions. I also have a Google Doc that's part of how to be a black belt at Mortgage Coach that has some questions. So we'll put a link down below to that after the call. So what I want to do now, Ryan, is I want to make sure, one, we're giving people as much value around this. One question came in: what was the actual sales cycle for Facebook? So how long from, you know, you were going after it till you were on site? What was the actual time frame?
Yeah, it was overwhelmingly fast. I mean, I had my post-closing call with the client, I believe, middle of October. And, you know, we were able to then have that webinar beginning of December. So 2 weeks where we had the webinar. And then at the end of that webinar, we scheduled the time for us to come up beginning of January after the holiday. So we went up there January 8th and 9th. And it was one of those things where a light bulb went on in their head, and the perks department's head, where there's like, our employees could use all these things, right? Like, they're not getting access to this stuff. They need this. I mean, if you saw the number of, like, when we were up there, and for those of you who've been to their campus, there's legitimately like, I mean, maybe 1,000 buses, I don't know, maybe less, maybe 500 buses, and full max size buses that go all over probably Northern California, picking up their employees and driving them into work every day. And it's because some of these people can't afford to live, you know, in the area around, you know, Menlo Park, in that Palo Alto area. So they have to go to Fremont. They're going all over the place. And so our ability to help potentially solve that problem, our ability to help, you know, have people set routes, was something that we very quickly realized, yeah, they need this, right? And they're going to benefit from it. So the sales cycle was really fast. I think if we didn't have all those value propositions to offer, and if it wasn't succinctly packaged as the art of homeownership, we probably would have never got it, if I'm being honest, because I couldn't have differentiated myself from First Republic Bank or whomever else they used, you know, from a rate perspective, and service is, you know, more of a subjective thing than anything else.
So as we wrap this up, I want you to repeat when I asked you what your favorite quote was. Could you repeat that real quick?
Yeah, so it's in, what was it? If you're responding to a customer's needs rather than defining them, it's a recipe for increased commoditization, right? And that we, quite frankly, have become a commoditized industry, and it's because we turn into the McDonald's of mortgages, right? Someone pulls up to window one, and you say, what would you like? They say, oh, I want a 20% down, 30-year fixed with cheese. And you say, great, pull up to number two, we'll give it to you. And that's just so inappropriate. I mean, it's borderline irresponsible to give someone what they believe they deserve without challenging their assumption that there might be something that's more appropriate for them or their family. And so if we're just responding to their need and hoping they use us because they like us from a relationship perspective, it's a recipe for being commoditized at a further level.
All right, guys. So here's my big takeaway. And I've interviewed Ryan multiple times now. The most recent interview is where he helped a new first-time home buyer go from, hey, I'm buying a $550,000 house and that's all I can afford, to really getting their dream home. It was like an $850,000 house.
Yeah, it was like
and actually borrowing money from their family member to do it, actually turning them into a partner in real estate.
Yeah, they invest in it with them.
Yeah. So by the way, listen to that interview, link down below. But here's what my takeaway is. Ryan has a different mortgage why than most loan officers. Ryan has some core beliefs versus most loan officers. Ryan has taken that why, those values, and he has created skills that go beyond the transactional loan officer. So I want to make sure that's not missed, because while you could be a mortgage coach loan officer, if you still see yourself as a LO and not as someone who's helping families build wealth with real estate, if you're going to have more success than if you weren't, but you're not going to have this transformational success. And I would love nothing more than to see the mortgage coach community of loan officers, which 34% are the top 1%. So they're some of the most productive and most successful loan officers in America. But here's what I know for sure. They are the best loan officers in America, and they represent the best value for families, the best value for companies. And so I would love to see our community crush it with this strategy. So, but you've got to change your why. And so I do want to call attention. We have a mortgage coach why worksheet. I want you to download it. There'll be a link somewhere here for you to get it, or you can go to our support center and type in mortgage coach why worksheet or MCY worksheet. You go to our Facebook group and you can type that in search and look it up. But I want you to schedule 30 minutes to do some personal work on your why. You know, hey, you can get some of these other platforms, which we've mentioned throughout the call. You can get on Art of Homeownership. That, you know what, if you don't do some deep work on your why and you don't grow a why beyond that, it won't be sustainable. Like maybe it will be something you try for a couple months. It won't win you a Facebook. Like Ryan had to live this for, and by the way, I'll bet you if like when you first started Art of Homeownership and you were like 2 to 3 months into it, you may not have won the Facebook deal. But because it's so much of who you are, it's become something that's just second nature. When you walked into that Shark Tank, which, dude, I would have been nervous knowing one, the business opportunity that being the employee benefits that Facebook represents and the Shark Tank that represented. I mean, all of us would have been nervous, but because you had the why, because you had the skills, because you were who you needed to be at that point, it was just like, dude, it was a several week to several month sales cycle, and boom. So that's it. I want to make sure you guys work on the why. Ryan, we got 2 minutes left. You get the last 2 minutes. Any words of wisdom? I mean, you are a top producing loan officer. You are a mentor and leader to countless mortgage professionals. We're entering 2020. What advice do you have for them?
Yeah, I mean, just in general, you know, we have to change our perception of who we are to the consumer, right? Like, you know, we ask ourselves a kind of a qualifying question time and time again is, you know, what do you do? Well, I'm in the mortgage business. What do you do? I help people buy and refinance homes. And you keep going and you keep peeling the onion, right? You keep getting deeper and deeper into actually what you do, right? And ultimately where you want to end up, ideally, is that you help people competently make decisions about their real estate and financial life, right? And if that decision is to buy or refinance or sell a home, then you'll help them accomplish that. But that's not what we do, right? That's the outcome of what we do, right? That's the byproduct of it. You know, but what the actual part of what we're doing is we need to change our dynamic to the consumer, right? Like we need to be able, the consumer needs to know where they can go to get advice and guidance and information that's not just the internet, right? Because that's a black hole of information. So you, in your market or across the country, you want to be known as a place where people can go to really get good education, good analysis, good individual information, you know, without bias, right? Without sales, without, you know, closing ratios and all that junk. And they can really, you know, start to plan for their future, whether they own a home or not. They can talk to their parents about it. They can talk to their children about it. And that's, in my opinion, that's the only way we should grow this thing. Otherwise, just be the cheapest, because it's coming. right? There's a movement in our industry, and it is happening, right? And you have to choose. You either better have the lowest interest rate, which I don't think anybody can commit to, or you better be the most valuable. And don't confuse service and value. Service is doing a good job, and service is an expectation. Value is something not expected. Value is something that when it happens and when the consumer sees consistent value way before they're going to buy a home and for 30 plus years after, that's what they're attracted to, right? That's the differentiator. And that's how you can build your entire practice.
So this has been an incredible conversation. I know we're going to get a lot of positive feedback from it. If you are watching this on social media, whether it's our Facebook page or YouTube, please, give it a like, give it a love. If you comment on it, would love to hear what you thought the top takeaway was. If there was a favorite quote or a favorite idea, we will be editing this and creating call it just a highlight, a greatest hits of this call, and pushing it onto our Instagram channel, IGTV. Be sure to check that out if you haven't already done it. And I think I called out earlier, if you want to see samples of Mortgage Coach in the real world, helping power advice, helping power stories, and helping loan officers explain strategies, check that out. Ryan, you killed it, dude. This was an incredible interview. It will definitely be in the top interviews of 2020 playlist. So thank you, brother. I appreciate you making time last minute, and super grateful to have you as an active leader in the Mortgage Coach community.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and hope everybody got some good stuff out of it. Thanks, Dave.
This call's a wrap up, guys. Have an awesome week. We'll see you on Friday.